Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everyone to our 2026 recognition ceremony for the New Jersey Schools of Character program. I'm Bill Trussheim. I represent NJASECD, and we are really thrilled today to be able to have a chance to recognize all of the good work that's being done in New Jersey schools surrounding character education, social emotional learning, and a positive school culture and climate. The bulk of time that we're going to spend today is really going to be focused on recognizing those schools. But as a prelude to that, what we want to do is we want to have one of the people who is most significant to this organization share some wisdom about history and about working together. And it's my pleasure to be able to introduce to you Dr. Phil Brown, who has been a lifelong character educator and has had a significant impact on that work in New Jersey and across the country. I'm going to just share with you a short biography of Phil's. Following 25 years of managing substance abuse prevention services in the Pennsylvania Department of Health and Student Support Services, and for the Student Support Services in the New Jersey Department of Education, he created and directed the Center for Social and Character Development at Rutgers University, conducting research for the U.S. Department of Education on social, emotional, and character development programs. In the course of that work, he created two professional organizations, the Commonwealth Pennsylvania Prevention Alliance and the New Jersey Alliance for Social, Emotional, and Character Development, our organization. He's past president of the International Center for Assault Prevention and is the author of numerous government publications, articles, as well as two books. One, the two-volume Handbook of Pro-Social Education and School Discipline: A Pro-Social Perspective, both of which he co-authored and edited. In 2023, he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award called the Sandy Award from Character.org, and that is the highest award really that exists in character education. Please, everyone, please mute your mics. That'll make it a lot easier for everyone. Most importantly, Phil was the founder of this organization, which really did follow the loss of grant money that was really accrued to Rutgers for that center, and this organization was founded to do the work of that center as an all-volunteer organization. Since that time, Phil has had a significant role in the organization. Most recently, for the past 14 years, he has been the immediate past president of the organization. And his wisdom and his advice throughout the years has been very valuable in keeping us afloat and functioning well. So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Phil Brown, who will share some wisdom about his talk, History Counts and Partnership Matters. Phil, welcome to the podium.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's just a joy to be with all of you. And first, congratulations on being recognized and being on the Schools of Character path. That you're here means a lot to me, and more importantly to the children, families, and communities that you serve. My deep appreciation to the educators among you who have so recognized the values and principles and practices of character education and SEL, that you have taken on the extra duty to serve on the board of NJASECD or have served as evaluators for the state and national school character recognition process. Second, this is a transitional moment for me personally and existentially. I officially retired in 2010, and it occurred to me recently that that's 16 years ago. And for those of you who are still in the trenches, it's fair to ask, what in the heck am I still doing here? And then there's the related question, why should you even care? So my hope is in the next 20 minutes or so that you'll understand the answer to those two questions. So this is really a farewell speech, and I can share with you at the outset the two reasons it's been hard to let go of this work. First, having founded this organization represents perhaps the career accomplishment that I'm proudest of. Second, the people, the professionals for whom this work is vital and gives their work purpose are the finest colleagues I can imagine having. So now let's get to it. Can we go to slide 2? That's great. The framework I'm using weaves 3 seminal developments in character education concepts. We need to develop our head, our ability to think clearly and ably, using our hands, our ability to apply our learnings to the problems of the world, using them in the service of the heart, our values and sense of belonging to a family, culture, society that serves us all. As I talk, I'm going to weave these 3 references and a few stories about how my own life intersected with these principles of what it's like to be a human being doing this work. For starters, head, hands, and heart is a framework I first bumped into early in my character education work in about 1992 as I was looking for allies and collaborators and began working with specialists at the oldest public youth development organization in the country, 4-H. They were the first organization to embrace character education as part of their work, using character counts, the early dominant training model that some of you are familiar with and have used. Slide 3, please. Next slide. And as we begin this short journey together, looking down from our mountain view, I live in Colorado Springs now at more than 6,000 feet. I ask us to use our imagination to feel into the story, letting go of a purely linear view of things. We're going to be going back and forward here, so that'll at least hopefully help you attend better to what I'm saying. We enter a space today for celebration and this journey together, and storytelling in the preservation of our organizational and personal heritage. Storytelling is the best way to do this in terms of really getting people to help remember a significant event in their lives. I invite you to join this powwow with me. To do this, I want to acknowledge that some imagery I will use is a blatant cultural appropriation and ask you to indulge with me in this storytelling format. Powwows are more than just events. They are living expressions of cultural identity. These gatherings are essential for passing down traditions to younger generations, preserving languages, and strengthening communal bonds. How we use the word tribe here to connote solidarity and togetherness without the negative connotations of its colonialist history. I ask our Native American ancestors for permission to use the wisdom of their communal structures for these honorable purposes. Living in Colorado Springs, the ancestral home of the Ute people, which is really located on Pikes Peak, which I can see as I look out my window here, I take this seriously, especially as my wife and I have been going forest bathing a couple times a year with someone certified to help us identify with this place. The reason this metaphor is important is that the worldview of Native American peoples was rooted in their thought of their communities generationally. They recognized the importance of their ancestors and elders and the commitment to the 7 generations that would follow them, and viewed their decisions in this context. So while I didn't much like thinking of myself as an elder when I was 60, I've decided that at 80 plus, maybe it's time I embraced it. Next slide, please. First, we'll call on our memories, our recorded history, to look at the evolution of character education in our state and beyond. Please note that the 6 points in time represented here are part of a larger document referenced in the title, which has about 15 points of historical significance. And the whole document will be available on our website, along with the recording of the event here, and I invite you to take a look at that. And I hereby bequeath the task to the person who will follow me in my position as past president of the organization to fill out the picture of the history beyond 2015. So our story begins in 1987 and 1988. Tom Kane, the governor at that point, asked the commissioner, Saul Cooperman, to come up with a set of values to guide the moral development of New Jersey students. The 1989 report of the Advisory Council on Developing Character and Values in New Jersey students was the result of that. Governor Kane and Commissioner Cooperman accepted the recommendations, but after much debate and deliberation, the group that they had put together, which represented, it was about 50 people. All aspects of the religious community were there, all aspects of the educational community from pre-K to university were represented. They said they could not do what the governor had asked. They couldn't come up with one set of core values. Instead, they said that they found the process that they had been involved in was what was more important than the product. So the governor acquiesced, and the commissioner instead recommended that all New Jersey school districts establish a core ethical values framework to guide student development. Subsequently, regulations were adopted by a state board requiring all districts to choose their own set of core values to guide character education. As this effort ended, the staff who was assigned to it was promoted, and she showed up in my cubicle one day and just dumped a whole bunch of boxes of files as I was playing second chair. Meanwhile, an attorney in California, Michael Josephson, engaged an elite panel to establish the 6 pillars of character education, followed by a nationwide outreach to state education authorities and federal legislation in 1994, encouraging states to adopt character education programs based on the pillars. New Jersey signed on. The reason I know is because the commissioner asked me to come into his office, which was unheard of at the time, a low-level staff person, just me being invited without higher-ups, and said he wanted my opinion, should he sign on to the document. And of course I advised he should. Meanwhile, in 1993, a small group of scholars and business people met in D.C. and formed the Character Education Partnership. And when I searched for national standards to guide our emerging program here, I reached out to them, and so we started with them and the 11 principals on the ground floor. That helped us secure a small U.S. Department of Education grant and got us started working with Newark, Jersey City, and Patterson, and enabled us to hold our first statewide summer conference in 1998 and then again in 1999. It was at that first conference that I was approached at the end of the day by a pleasant, white-haired older woman, Mona Noyes, who essentially said that she was all in. I thought, how nice. And over the next 15 years, I learned that this former school nurse, social worker, board member, parent council head was the engine of all things in character in the Cherry Hill School District. She became a trusted confidant, a source of never-ending ideas, and as principled a person as I've ever known. It was about the same time that Cranford High School became a National Service Learning Leaders School. And I didn't know much about service learning at that point, and so I figured I'd better go have a visit, and met the person who was to become one of the most influential character educators in the history of New Jersey and nationally, especially working with character.org, Eileen Dochnovitz. Eileen invited me to come visit her at Cranford and escorted me into the high school auditorium. So here's the scene. We're on the floor right below where the stage is in the auditorium, and I see more than a dozen easels, each one manned by 2 or 3 students, each station representing a service learning project that they were engaged in. Every single curriculum area and co-curricular area in the school had a station. And then we were off to lunch, cooked and served by special ed students in their kitchen area. It was no surprise that a couple of years later, Cranford became the first public school to receive the National School of Character Award. And when Eileen retired some years later, I called her immediately and asked her to serve as a consultant, one of the best moves in my character education career. So now we're at about 2000. I should tell you, by the way, the bulk of my talk is going to be on this history. So as we go, you'll see that everything will gradually unfold, I hope. Well, we had a bit of momentum going at that point. We were a small program, a sort of afterthought in the grand scheme of the New Jersey Department of Education. But that changed dramatically when, in 1999, actor Tom Selleck, the co-founder of Character Counts, had a visit with Governor Christie Todd Whitman. She was looking for a meaningful, feel-good initiative to announce for the beginning of her last year in office. And the New Jersey Character Education Partnership Initiative was announced the following January by Governor Whitman in her State of the State address as a one-year initiative with $4.75 million of state aid funding going to all New Jersey school districts and charter schools. My file boxes were growing at that point. Because I was the only person in the department with history and knowledge and had paved the path, we were off and running. The initiative was formally launched under the direction of Commissioner Hespy on May 17th at a statewide conference, which was followed by regional technical assistance program showcase events. The good and bad of bureaucracy is that no one wanted to be the one who pulled the plug on character education after we generated some enthusiasm with educators, so the initiative went on for 3 more years. And when it ended, you can see the results of the program on the slide. By the final year, more than 900,000 students had received services, as well as school staff and parents. But our story is still back in 2000, when of course I was in line for a promotion at that point, given all that we'd accomplished. And SEL was taking off too. I was managing other student support and health services for the agency. And then in 2002, as things were really rolling, I was fired as part of a budget reduction process. A short digression here into the personal voyage that will be part of the talk later. As I was walking the canal paths near my home and trying to figure out how I was going to get employed again, the woman who had fired me called and asked me to have lunch. We both had the same idea. We had seen a new competitive grant program announced from the Institute of Educational Sciences at the U.S. Department of Education, and she offered to hire me back as a consultant to write the grant application for the department, to put a position in for myself, and if we won the grant, I could return to the department. You better believe I wrote my bippy off. 2002 and 2003. Meanwhile, while this was going on, Governor McGreevey wanted to get into the act and established the New Jersey Character Education Commission by executive order. 5 regional hearings were attended by over 100 people, and the commission report was presented on September 30th, 2002, and recommended the establishment of a state center for character education. Strange thing, I was asked to write that report and highlighted that recommendation and used it in the grant application, having greased the skids. The New Jersey Department of Education received a 4-year grant to research evidence-based character education and SEL programs in 10 school districts and provide technical assistance to schools statewide. The New Jersey Center for Character Education was established within the Graduate School of Applied and Professional Psychology at Rutgers, the state university, and research began with 10 school districts selecting evidence-based programs. So you may be wondering, how did we get to Rutgers? Well, this renegade bureaucrat, which you'll hear a little bit about later, remember I was told to write a position for myself into the grant, which I did. But what the department didn't know was that I didn't want to spend the rest of my career at the Department of Education. I'd about had it at that point. I knew what I could do by then and needed more freedom. And because Rutgers University is the state university, I knew that was the best place to be. So I called one of the most important colleagues in my life, Maurice Elias, and he suggested I talk to this fellow Lou Gantwork, the director of the Center for Applied Psychology. So I put on my salesman's hat, found the most relaxed and supportive response I could have asked for. If you bring the money, we've got an office and a home for you. So then, I go back to the department and blithely announce that I had a deal with Rutgers and the grant funds should go to them through the department and go to Rutgers University. After a long pause and a couple of questions to the assistant commissioner, the commissioner agreed. In 2006, we received a second 4-year competitive grant to continue our research and technical assistance and activities, and I'm proud to tell you we had the largest grant of any grantee in the country. So at that point, the New Jersey Center for Character Education became the Center for Social and Character Development at Rutgers University, and we began the Caring Schools Inclusion Project, in which we conducted research with 12 middle schools using the Community of Caring evidence-based program model. What we had learned by that point was that school staff didn't need just one more workshop about best practices in character education. You were already leading the way, as we discovered through the Schools of Character process, and so we changed plans and created a mentoring program to pair Schools of Character school teams with emerging school teams interested in learning from their colleagues. And our role switched to setting the table, providing some incentives, and supporting the interactions and growth of educators over a couple of years. It would be no surprise to you that Bill Trusheim was one of the mentor educators for that program. And it was part of what grew our professional relationship even closer. And as Mona Noyes put it to me in a recent conversation, we learned to structure, but not control, the professional interactions and growth. Also in 2006, CSCD piloted state-level state Schools of Character Recognition program for the National Character Education Partnership. How did that happen? At the time, CEP was still using its original model, awarding just 10 NSOCs nationally every year as bellwether exemplars. But by then, with our momentum, we had a few schools, and specifically ones in the Hamilton School District, that were denied the award for reasons that had nothing to do with the quality of their program. For them, it happened 3 times, and at that point, I realized that change was needed. So I wrote to the CEP and complained and offered an alternative, a first-tier Schools of State Character program, and opening up the National School Character program at the same time. I was invited to address the CEP board at their annual meeting at the Hartford Insurance Company headquarters in Manhattan, and after some heated discussions, we won the day. And by 2015, 30 states had adopted the New Jersey model under the aegis of Character.org. As I knew federal funding would end in 2010, by 28, I began to plan for a successor organization that could carry on what we had begun, while we still had some resources to launch it. So in 2008, the New Jersey Alliance for Social, Emotional, and Character Development was established under the nonprofit umbrella of EIRC in South Jersey, and the first statewide conference jointly sponsored with the NJDOE and CSCD was held. Where did this unwieldy name come from? It came about in a hallway conversation at Rutgers with my SEL counterpart in crime, Maurice Elias, when we bantered about how to position the new organization, and he became, as he was becoming recognized for his work uniting character education and SEL, so this formula emerged. The result of our research that we had conducted under Rutgers was later presented at the American Educational Research Association annual conference and highlighted by the U.S. Department of Education. Slide 5, please. Here is a partial list of the partnerships, all of which played a significant role at different times during the history I've just outlined, and without which some parts or all of the story would have been different, and in fact, we wouldn't be here today at all. You can see here just the number of different players, all of which really played a significant part in that story. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to turn a little bit to my personal voyage, and where for me the heart comes in. Although it's really only important today in the context that our community or tribe would have already known about me if we'd been small enough that you'd seen me grow up, which was one of the reasons that these small communities, that was how our species really began to learn to work together well, made a real difference in how individual growth was melded with communal growth. So I had a not atypical middle class upbringing. I went to Scouts and became a senior patrol leader. I was involved with my youth church group. I began to read Gandhi in my high school years, went into the Peace Corps after college, and became an activist during the Vietnam War, became a conscientious objector, and served alternative service as a result of that, and began working after I received my master's degree from Duquesne University. In Pennsylvania, where I was hired as the chief of the Office of Prevention and Training after going through the local and county levels, I was named that by the Governor's Council on Drug and Alcohol Abuse, which was the first drug and alcohol agency that later was merged with the Department of Health. And then the guerrilla bureaucrat emerged. I never thought of myself as a state level person, but I realized that I had an opportunity to make a difference that I hadn't expected. So I aligned myself with people in the State Department of Education because that's where the kids were, and we were trying to establish a way of doing prevention work in the drug and alcohol field. In the process, I alienated the folks who believed that all government resources should go towards treatment, not prevention. So I became the enemy. And wouldn't you know it, the next executive director of the agency there was my nemesis. From the treatment group, I was demoted, confined to my desk with a legislative inquiry threatened. And I knew I had to find another job. It was a narrow escape, and thoughtfulness of friends comes in here in a big way. One of the people I'd hired to work at a regional level in Pennsylvania was a guy from New Jersey who just happened to know that there was a vacant position in the New Jersey Department of Education. So I moved our family to New Jersey, a new home, and then was elected to the local school board and became the president of the school board before my term ended. And then our character education history begins. Again, new slide, please. So here I am at Rutgers University, the first day of my new job and this new federal grant. And I was invited to breakfast by Maurice Elias and Linda Bruni, who some of you may know was the executive director of the social decision-making program that Maurice had developed and was one of the first SEL programs to pass muster by Castle. I was presented with this gorgeous masted schooner, replica replete with myself as captain, core values on the sails, and the key figures as officers and crew that don't easily show up in the photo. What a good start to a new chapter for me. And it shows the kind of care that the people I worked with had for me and I had for them. Next slide, please. So these are some of the personal partnerships that mattered to me. I do this by category because the list was so long of people that I really want to recognize. But there are a few people that I want to mention in particular that you haven't heard the names of yet, and you need to know their names. Becky Saporade, who was my right-hand person at Rutgers University. Gary Vermeyer, who I brought over from Pennsylvania when I was in the Department of Education and stayed there and made a big difference after I left. Pat Wright, who all of you know, who opened doors for us and illuminated the school climate space with her work for NJPSA. And someone who qualifies as both an administrator who taught me about professional learning communities as a vehicle for character education, a guiding light, and a cherished colleague, and as our current president for another hour or so at least, Bill Trusheim. When I asked Eileen Doknovitz to give me one of her famous stories to tell about our work together, instead of talking about herself and her leading role, which is really her one, this is what she wrote to me. Honoring the New Jersey schools for their character successes has always been a trademark of Bill's style, and Hurricane Sandy did not stop him. Braving terrain that resembled a Civil War disaster, the two of us successfully reached Washington, D.C. in time to honor our schools of character and make our presentation. The return trip, however, became a harrowing journey. Since Bill had left his family home without heat and electricity, he nobly tried to make amends by stopping in several states to find a portable generator and the gas needed to start it, an ordeal not helped by gas shortage and rationing. By the time we reached West Milford, the clock was striking midnight. Did our Odysseus receive an ovation for receiving his family? Hardly. No hero's welcome for intrepid Bill, because electricity and heat returned just a few minutes before his arrival. Eileen, by the way, was noted to be one of the most generous educators I ever worked with, but you didn't want to cross paths with her. One time we were doing a workshop, and someone, either I or one of my staff, had misspelled her name on her name card, and she publicly admonished it for us. And that was the way she had of making sure we knew that she had our number. Next slide, please. Well, finally, I want to leave you with some bits of elder wisdom. Always keep your values in mind and never stop learning. You all wouldn't be here if you didn't already know that. Second, don't take mentors and colleagues for granted. Relish and nurture them, cherish them as you would your closest friendships. I would mention many more people, but beyond our wonderful board members who have given so much, a couple of other people you need to know about. David Wangard, former president and director of the School for Ethical Education, Jonathan Cohen, the founder of the Center for School Climate, and Arthur Schwartz, who strengthened character.org but had to let it go. I've learned so much from each of them as colleagues and friends, just as I've learned from the Sandy awardees who preceded me, Maurice, Tom Lacona, Hal Urban, Marvin Berkowitz, just to name a few. Third, learn to manage your skills, strengths, and weaknesses. When hiring people, I came to the unavoidable conclusion that I was not always the best decision maker, operating in what I thought were my infallible instincts. My initial judgments were often flawed, and so I got better gradually at considering other people's judgments to everyone's benefit. Fourth, find joy in your work and fail with integrity. I think you can see how much joy I've taken in this career path that I've chosen, and that's why I'm still here. And if you've operated according to your values, failure is a necessary antidote to self-centeredness and can open new opportunities to your life and you. Fifth, be ready for those opportunities, by which I mean if you work hard at your craft, see the work you've been offered in its larger context, and keep an open mind, you increase your ability to perceive both possibilities for change and paths that can be taken. And finally, I invite you to think of yourselves and your career and your future as reaching out, speaking up, and stretching. Reach out to people who've helped you grow, who need your help, or from whom you need help. For example, as I retired, I reached out to two colleagues to write a book together, and we helped to coin the concept of pro-social education. Recently, I've reached out to the Director of Volunteer Services at the Pikes Peak Hospice and Palliative Care, where I volunteer, who has let me begin music-based work in 5 skilled nursing and assisted living facilities. Speak up in a way that is grounded in your own values but leavened by the values of others, and stretch beyond your comfort zone to make a difference in the world. These days, for example, I don't hesitate to respond to discussions of Zen koans with the Roshi of the Springs Mountain Buddhist Sangha where I practice. Stretch beyond your comfort zone to make a difference in the world. These days, for example, I had no idea when I started conscious movement practice 28 years ago that when I was in my 50s, and I became a certified dance your ability teacher in my 80s, and now in the process of becoming certified as a poet listener next week when I finish my practicum work. Still working and having fun after all these years. I think we all know why we do such important work. Public schools are children's first experience and a learning laboratory of what it's like to be part of our particular society. How we can live and work together in our democracy despite our many individual and cultural differences. What it means to be a citizen. And as most of you have probably seen in a new 25-country study by the Pew Research Center, the United States gained a dubious honor. Americans were more likely than any other nation surveyed to think that their fellow citizens were morally bad people. The students in the schools of character I have seen do not see their fellow students as bad people. Through your efforts, the seeds of goodness have been planted, and they want to help their fellow students, befriend them, and assist each other in belonging and contributing to the school community. And strange thing, it makes them happier. and they do better behaviorally and academically. As your founder and as a retired citizen, I thank you for the work you do and who you are. There's another slide here that I'm not going to talk about, but it's a slide that has a few pictures of the career that I talk about, and I leave you with that and turn the meeting over to Bill. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you.
Bill, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom over the years. I honestly, you were one of my mentors in this work, along with Maurice, and you've been my advisor and confidant for the last 14 years as immediate past president. So I'd like to really reach out and say, I'm not going to say goodbye because I expect that we will remain friends. But your contributions to NJASCCD, we wouldn't exist without you, Phil. And I hope to be the same assistance as past president that you to Lori as you were to me. And again, thank you so much for sharing some particulars of your journey. I learned some things about you that I didn't know, and I do appreciate your shout outs to people who I also know and respect. And all of that is really the legacy of our organization. And that legacy is really important. And hopefully that will carry on for a long time. I know everybody's waiting for the announcement of all the schools. But before that, I think it's really kind of important for us to have a look at the people that are not only behind the scenes, but who are our partners in making everything work. And you're going to hear from a number of them today. First of all, you can see on your screen right now the current board of our organization. And I'd like to thank all of them for their work. And many of these people have been involved for a long time. Phil mentioned Mona. Mona has been on the board since the organization was founded. And, I don't believe she's here today, but she's certainly been significant, as well as others. And, every person whose name is on this list is significant to our organization. Next slide, please. We also have honored guests. You've just heard from Phil. He's the past president and the founder. Karen Bingert, who's the executive director of NJPSA. One of the things that I guess it's going to be my job to add to the history now of our organization was in 2017. I received a phone call from someone who, a few of you will remember, Pat Will. Pat worked for EIRC, and she gave me a phone call, a clandestine one that she wasn't supposed to make, warning us that EIRC was going under, and that I had to immediately request all of our funds to be given back to us. I remember that day very vividly, and some of the people who are on this call right now were there with me for that moment. And okay, so what do we do now? What actually happened was that they went under. They'd lost all their funding. They were $500,000 in debt because they lost a grant of $500,000, but they didn't change their spending behavior. So that meant you're $500,000 in debt. So anyway, so we had to come up with another plan, and that other plan was to form this, was to become a nonprofit and become a self-sufficient organization. Well, the question was from the beginning, I think, and I was involved in those early conversations with Phil and Maurice about whether or not a volunteer organization would work. Anyway, to make a long story short, we lost our money. We were very fortunate, thanks to Mark Bedron, who was the president of the state board. Phil and I were pretty close to Mark. And Mark earmarked us as one of the first recipients of monies that the state came up with to restore the funds that were lost, our funds that were lost by EIRC. The next call that I made after talking to the board was to Pat Wright. and Pat Wright, I asked Pat, would you be a partner with us and help us continue to exist? And it took her about a nanosecond to say yes. And Pat's was unable to be here with us today, but Karen, her replacement as executive director at PSA, has been a wonderful partner for us, and she will be elected to our board today, hopefully. Steve Beatty, who's the president of NJEA, has been a staunch supporter of this work, character, social emotional learning, and school culture and climate. Steve has been part of our presentations now for as long as I can remember. I think probably from when he first started on the board of NJEA, because he does have a real sensibility and feeling for this work, and you'll hear from him in a bit. Kelly Allen, who's the manager of the Office of Student Support Services at the department, has been another staunch supporter of us and SEL across the state, and we'll hear from her a bit later. And Nicole Deal is the new executive director of the Schools of Character, and we welcome her for the first time to our ceremony. And later on, she will announce the National Schools of Character for us. So those are our honored guests today, and we really do, as Phil talked about, the importance of the partnerships matter. They really do matter, and all of these people are really significant to our organization, and I thank all of them with a heartfelt thanks for always supporting us and always being here when I ask. So, next slide, please. This is going to go over to Karen, who, as the executive director of PSA, is going to offer some remarks as really our principal partner and everything, all the events that we put on. We'd like to hear from Karen and hear from some of her wisdom about how this work impacts schools from the administration on down through students and communities. So Karen, welcome to the podium.
Thank you so much, Bill, and good morning, everyone. I'm just so excited to see so many people here, including, I know, several school assemblies. So I just want to say hi to everybody out there in those big rooms with lots of kids and just being together to celebrate this wonderful accomplishment. As Bill mentioned, I am the executive director of the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association and the president of the Foundation for Educational Administration, otherwise known as NJPSA FEA. And I am honored to serve and represent over 9,000 principals, vice and assistant principals, supervisors, and directors across our state. Strong leadership in a school is the backbone of each school's success, and we work tirelessly to support the school leaders who support our educators and your incredible students. As Bill said, NJPSA is a very proud partner of NJASECD, and I'm honored to be a part of welcoming you to today's wonderful celebration and acknowledgement of the work that you are doing in your schools to support character development. When we think of schools, what often comes to mind first are things like books and papers, pencils and crayons, maybe school lunches, the good ones, the bad ones, the guilty pleasure ones, recess, homework, and tests, and the classic reading, writing, and arithmetic. The list, we know, goes on and on. School is filled with one opportunity after another to learn something new and to build the skills that will help our students become educated and employed adults. What most people don't think about when they talk about school are the tools and traits that will make our students really ready for life, a life that is never straightforward, never goes according to plan, and that puts us again and again in circumstances that will challenge us and our character. Schools contribute to that development, not just through things like their handbooks and code of conduct expectations, but in how each child is treated by each adult, how each adult interacts with each other, and how our students are helped to identify the parameters of societal expectations and social interactions that respect and support the other students who surround them. Basically, these are the skills that will help them have healthy, self-respecting, personal and professional relationships for the rest of their lives. And these are the traits that help them hold themselves to ethical and moral behavior, even when no one is looking. And that's no small task. If you ask a random adult, what they remember of their school experiences. They'll say things like friends, school activities, a favorite teacher, maybe a learning experience that pushed them and brought them success. Those are the easy answers. If you ask a random adult about how they felt about themselves while they were in school, how they felt they were treated by classmates and educators, how they feel they treated others, well, it's very possible that there will be a longer pause and a moment of reflection before answering, because that question cuts much closer to the quick. There is a moment of recall. Were others good to me? Was I good to others? Did I behave then, or was I treated then as I now know I should have been? Really, this is the pivotal question about schools, because the character, the humanity that our schools help develop is arguably the most important, the most applicable, and the most transferable skill that we teach our students. Each of you is here today because you, your wonderful students, your team, and your school have made a commitment to put character development front and center in the work you do. Not for a reward, not even for today's recognition, but because showing good character, teaching good character, building good character, and modeling good character is simply, and yet so profoundly, one of the most important things you can do in a school. Good character is not a trumpet call, but it's a steady drumbeat. In fact, it's the very heartbeat of a school and your school's heart, and more importantly, your students' hearts, because they beat out the message: I matter, I respect, I honor, I do right, I believe, I belong. And although we are here today to recognize your programming, your students are the real winners. I want to thank you for all you do to create schools of character. I am humbled to be in your presence today. And on behalf of NJPSA and FEA, I commend you not only for today's recognition, but for what it really says about your school and your students, that your values are placed on helping to raise good people, good humans, and good role models for generations to come. Congratulations. I'm so proud of all of you. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate our partnership and everything you do, that we do together. And it's really been significant in our continued success. And your words have certainly were not only apt but inspiring. So thank you very much for helping us kick this off today. At this point, I'd like to recognize Lori Coletti, who is the vice president of our organization, and Mary Reinhold, who is the current treasurer. But they also are our New Jersey School of Character state coordinators. And that is kind of a thankless job. And it's a year-round job as well. And I'm not going to go into the particulars, but I just want to recognize both Mary and Lori for the work that they do in communicating with schools, helping schools with their applications, helping to assign scorers and evaluators, and helping to set up this recognition ceremony every year. There are colleagues that mean a great deal to me, both of them. And so I'd like to now turn it over to Lori, who is going to get down to the meat of today's ceremony, the recognition of our schools. So Lori, it's over to you.
Thank you, Bill. And I want to welcome everyone here today. And for all of the people who are being recognized today, I am so very proud of all of you. My name is Laurie Coletti, and along with Mary Reinhold, we are the co-coordinators for Schools of Character for NJASECD and for New Jersey. We'd like to welcome you to the 2026 Schools of Character ceremony. As state coordinators, Mary and I have worked hard to organize applications, coordinate reviewer teams, create certificates, and prepare for today's ceremony. The evaluations of our 30 applications were completed by teams in partnership with character.org. In addition, many of our reviewers served as site visitors, validating the National Schools of Character. We would like to recognize and thank all state and national reviewers. Thank you to Bill Trushheim for publishing the recognition booklet, Our results here in New Jersey are very exciting. New Jersey continues to have an outstanding number of schools of character in 2026. We congratulate you on your outstanding character initiatives and encourage you to become more involved with outreach in New Jersey and across the nation. Character education can and will have a global impact, and we believe it starts with all of us. This year, it is our pleasure to recognize 3 emerging schools and district of character, 4 honorable mention schools of character, 18 New Jersey state schools of character, and 12 national schools of character. Being named a school of character means each school has dedicated itself to social, emotional learning, identifying core values, and using a comprehensive, intentional, proactive approach to develop character, create a caring community, focus on moral action and service learning, engage families, partner with the community, enrich culture and climate, and embed character values throughout the curriculum. Over the years, New Jersey schools of character have grown in number and cover the entire state, which means our New Jersey students reap the benefits of the paradigm shift to having solid core values guide every aspect of school life. These schools demonstrate an understanding of expectations for academic integrity, sportsmanship, and ethical learning. Student-driven service learning abounds across our state. New Jersey parents feel welcome in their child's school and are partners with a voice in developing the kind of school their child attends. Kudos to the many New Jersey school teachers and staff who are embracing this change. The parents who work so hard to seek an enhanced environment for their children, the communities who are welcoming our children, and most of all, our children who are happy to come to a safe, caring school to learn. New Jersey led the way with an inception of the State Schools of Character program. From this auspicious beginning, the New Jersey Education Association has consistently supported the work we do for social, emotional, and character development. Emerging schools have made a significant beginning on their journey to become schools of character and have already exhibited many worthwhile practices. These schools are recognized for taking positive steps on the character education journey. It is a pleasure to introduce Steve Beatty, President of the New Jersey Education Association, who will recognize the emerging schools of character. Steve, are you on the call?
Lori, I believe he froze.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Hi, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Can you
can.
hear me now?
Yes, we
All
can
right,
hear
perfect.
you now.
So yeah, I happen to be, I'm in a school, so that's why I'm just trying to find, I'm down in Little Egg Harbor Township at George J. Mitchell Elementary School. And just, as you know, sometimes the service here could be spotty, but that's really what it's about. And just even just walking around briefly this morning as I arrived a few minutes ago, and seeing the kids and seeing the work they're involved in. They're wearing different shirts. They have field day going on. The elements that go on to the everyday of what we celebrate, right? The best of what we do to make sure that our students every day are being, educated by the greatest we can have. And of course, getting all those things. So I want to thank everyone for being here and being part of it for my time, not only in the classroom and now as the president of the NJEA. Greetings on behalf of our entire leadership team and our nearly 200,000 members in every nook and cranny of the state who really do this work. And I see them on here today. My colleagues, my friends, my fellow brothers and sisters that do the work and are here being honored. So as a history teacher from Raritan Regional School District, and I said I have the honor of serving as the president of the New Jersey Education Association. And at NJEA, we care deeply about the success of our public schools. We all believe in the same thing, that every student deserves a great quality public education taught by great educators. And that's really what it's all about. For us, success is much more than we can actually measure. Of course, those all important things we care deeply about our students' achievement as measured by scores and grades, but there are so many other elements that our schools are almost impossible to measure but can always be felt. As president of the NJEA, I said, here I am today visiting schools. I remember when I was in Highbridge a few years back in the middle school, and they had built into every single day reading time in their middle school. Every class reading the same book, talking about the themes, including everyone in the school, the custodian, the principal, everyone in there, talking and relating on level. And we want to make sure that every school is like that. When you walk in, you can feel it. You can see the hum, the vibe that goes on there, the compassion and the understanding and kindness. You can sense when teachers and all the educators have delivered explicit instructions on self-discipline, integrity, and student-driven learning. And these elements of our schools matter, right? When our schools deliver explicit instruction and create environments for students to learn and grow and thrive in these ways, we ensure students are set up for success in their lives, wherever their learning takes them. You know, for me, when I think about education overall and the purpose of our schools, I think about how we as educators ensure young people have the foundation they need to become who they want, to live up to their fullest potential as they grow older. And while not every job requires mastery of mathematics and history or science, every profession that I've ever known requires people to learn to work with others, that they learn self-responsibility, they can follow through their words with actions, and they understand what it means to be empathetic, to be compassionate, to think about others as they do that. And that is really our primary goal in all that we do, despite any curriculum. And because of that, you see character as the universal language that sets our young people up for success. And God knows we need some of it today, I'll just say. And because of this, I am honored to be here with you all to celebrate and recognize the 2026 Emerging Schools of Character. The 2026 Emerging Schools of Character are well on their way to fully ensuring their students have everything they need to succeed. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for them. You all understand the 11 principles of framework, and when implemented, our children can and will become independent, self-sufficient, and perhaps, above all, resilient. As a lifelong educator, I view the emphasis on character development as a crucial component that we can all work on as school leaders. Through this, we can help our students develop their sense of agency and find tangible ways to contribute to communities. So it's my honor to introduce the 3 schools named Emerging Schools of Character. These schools are being recognized today for the ongoing improvements they made in transforming their schools into places of character. This year's 2026 Emerging Schools of Character are Belmar School District in Belmar, New Jersey, Lisa Munoz Marin Elementary School in Newark, New Jersey, and Thomas Edison Energy Smart Charter in Somerset, New Jersey. So let's hear it for them here on the We're All Together for all the incredible work that all these schools are doing for their students. Really wonderful. And in closing, I'd like to just congratulate all of our emerging schools one more time and recognize all the honorees, everyone had a part in it, and of course, the students themselves, our educators, everyone that's involved, because it takes a village. It truly does. As we talk about communities and as I listen to Phil, I talk about his career and the things that he's done, the amazing work, and what that means in bringing people together. And that's above all what we do and do best. So bringing people together. So on behalf of all my fellow union members and our entire organization, thank you for everything and congratulations to all the award winners. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, for joining us and for that beautiful recognition of our emerging schools. Emerging schools, I have to turn the page. Honorable mention schools are well on their journey to becoming schools of character by demonstrating a host of effective character practices observing the 11 principles. These schools are recognized for using continued good practices on their character education journey. It is an honor to have a representative from the New Jersey Department of Education, Kelly Allen, with us today. Ms. Allen will be announcing the Honorable Mention Schools of Character. Ms. Allen, are you with us?
Yes, thank you so much, Lori. It's wonderful to be here. I'm thrilled to take part in this ceremony. So I am Kelly Allen from the Jersey Department of Education, Office of Student Support Service. Every day, I'm inspired by the incredible work happening in schools to create environments where both students and adults feel welcomed, valued, and part of the school community. Everyone on this Zoom understands the vital role that SEL and character education play in our schools. These are not simply initiatives. They're fundamental to strong relationships, staff and student well-being, meaningful engagement, and academic success. Your efforts reflect what it truly means to embed SEL and character education into the fabric of your school communities with purpose and authenticity. I'd especially like to extend my congratulations to the schools receiving honorable mention to the Schools of Character program. This recognition speaks to the dedication, thoughtfulness, and purpose you've invested in building positive, supportive learning environments. Thank you for your commitment to this important work and for the lasting impact you are making on your students and school. Now let's take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate our honorable mention recipients, starting with Academy Street Elementary School in Dover, Dorothy L. Bullock School in Glassboro, as well as Thomas E. Bowe Middle School in Glassboro, and Warren Middle School in Warren. Congratulations again to all of the honorable mention recipients.
Thank you so very much, Miss Allen, for recognizing our honorable mention schools of character. We are very proud of the journey that these people are taking, that the school's dedication and the students' efforts are causing them to have great success at their school for character education. At this time, Debbie Minieri and I have the honor to announce the 2026 Schools of Character. Please bear with me because I'm clicking and reading at the same time. Okay. Allen B. Shepherd School. Allen B. Shepherd School's distinguished character education journey has spanned more than 2 decades, marked by continuous growth, innovation, and a steadfast commitment to developing engaged and responsible citizens. Over these years, Shepherd School has transformed challenges into promising practices, demonstrating dedication to ongoing reflection and excellence. They have been recognized for Play Unified, Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, and strong partnerships with community organizations. Shepherd's outstanding culture of growth mindset has enabled them to cultivate an environment where character education is maintained and shapes future changes. Congratulations, Allen B. Shepherd Elementary School.
Burlington County Institute of Technology, West Hampton Campus. Burlington County Institute of Technology, West Hampton Campus shines as its character development is embedded and woven into the fabric of who they are as a school community. Guided by a steadfast commitment to nurturing respect, gratitude, responsibility, and collaboration in every aspect of school life, West Tech is dedicated to these core values shaping their culture, expectations, and the experiences of their students. Shifting from disciplinary practices to emphasizing reflection and personal growth helps students learn from their mistakes through programs such as Aspire, Safe Schools, Student Peace Agreement, and Student Reflections. Congratulations.
Carl Sandburg Middle School. Carl Sandburg Middle School has been purposefully and strategically committed to fostering a positive climate and culture for over a decade. As a previous state and national school of character, their programs and initiatives have continued to evolve and expand, demonstrating high academic expectations, a deep commitment to developing the whole child, and strengthening connections with a comprehensive social emotional learning program. Sandburg's unwavering commitment to addressing students' needs, supporting expectations, and building a positive school community is the foundation for student growth. Congratulations, Carl Sandburg Middle School.
Carolyn L. Rudder School. Rudder School's international character journey ensures every student develops a robust moral compass guided by their RAM strong core values, focusing on 2 key strategies: moral action and ethical standards through rigorous service learning compels students to move beyond passive learning, challenging them to assess community needs and translate values like responsibility and gratitude into meaningful action. This focus on student autonomy and ownership ensures moral development is tied directly to civic engagement. Congratulations.
Donald Stewart Center for Early Childhood Education, School Number 51. Donald Stewart School Number 51 believes that character development in the early childhood classroom lays the foundation for lifelong learning. The guiding pillar, Friends Care, Friends Share, reflects the core values needed to build responsible citizenship for preschoolers. In meeting the diverse needs of the ever-changing population, Donald Stewart School Number 51 has nurtured lasting compassion for self, others, and the environment. Congratulations, Donald Stewart.
General Charles G. Harker School. The General Charles G. Harker School works to define their focus and purpose as an instructional institute respecting character and morals as much as academics, with the goal of understanding and celebrating the differences that each of our students, staff members, and community members bring to our Harker School family. Harker School is consistently learning, growing, and adapting the character educational initiative to represent the stakeholders and show what Comet Pride truly means to the community. Congratulations.
Glassboro High School. Glassboro High School is the epicenter of the community. They open their arms to the community, provide for families in need, and work with local organizations to provide resources. Small but mighty, they are often referred to as the little engine that could, from the beloved childhood story. Through positivity and perseverance, the community of Glassboro High School is thriving. School pride and a deep-rooted connection to the community have helped them focus on service learning, respect, empathy, and communication. Congratulations, Glassboro High School.
Hillside Elementary. Hillside Elementary School character journey spans more than 12 years, representing a sustained and evolving commitment to developing the hearts, minds, and actions of their students. Guided by the 6 pillars of character, trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship, these core values have served as the moral compass for the entire school community. Following these values, understanding that all partners in creating a kind, respectful, and responsible environment, the students recognize that character is not just taught, but it is lived with empathy, integrity, initiative, and compassion. Congratulations, Hillside Elementary.
Joyce Kilmer Elementary. Joyce Kilmer Elementary is recognized for its positive culture and climate, as well as its strong tradition in character education. Their strong character education committee has maintained a clear and consistent character education vision through administrative changes and challenges, living by the core values of respect, responsibility, brave, caring, and citizen. Joyce Kilmer Elementary infuses restorative justice, embraces yearly themes, and supports SEL. The school model, rooted in values, growing in knowledge, exemplifies Wildcat pride. Strong family engagement helps affirm each child's unique strengths. Congratulations, Joyce Kilmer Elementary.
Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughn, Mary Jackson Academy School number 92. JVJ STEM Academy School number 92 exemplifies qualities such as self-discipline, trustworthiness, acceptance, resilience, and social responsibility. These core values, represented by the acronym STARS, are deeply embedded not only in the character education program, but also in the career strands the school offers. JVJ is competitive in the biomedical, engineering, and computer science fields with a strong emphasis on social responsibility. The school's mission and vision statements reflect and celebrate the unique character education journey in these areas. Congratulations, JVJ number 92.
Kindergarten Success Academy. Kindergarten Success Academy's character journey, now 14 years strong, is guided by 6 core values: kind, caring, respect, responsible, safe, and integrity. The KSA Kangaroos know the motto, "It's a great day at the KSA," reinforcing unity and excellence. KSA has expanded its character initiative to include monthly parent workshops, books before bedtime, and school-wide events such as Unity Day and engaging families and the community in social emotional growth. KSA's character journey continues to grow, rooted in compassion, strengthened by integrity, and guided by the belief that every child can learn, lead, and shine when character comes first. Congratulations, Kindergarten Success Academy.
I love all the celebration coming out of that. Cooper Elementary. Cooper Elementary has created a welcoming and inclusive environment where every child feels seen and valued. Restorative justice practices, including circles centered on respect and boundaries, have been integrated into classrooms to allow students to process experiences, rebuild relationships, and take ownership of their behavior. Cooper School uses Kelso's Choice and the Second Step program as proactive tools for conflict resolution and social emotional growth. The Peer Leadership Initiative, Helping Hands, empowers students to model positive behavior, support their peers, and strengthens the culture of kindness at Cooper. The students understand the lasting importance of service, generosity, and compassion for others. Congratulations, Cooper Elementary.
Pioneer Academy. Pioneer Academy's core values of curiosity, creativity, compassion, and commitment are the moral, civic, intellectual, and performance foundation of the school's identity. Character is lived as a daily practice across classrooms, hallways, and community partnership. The LIFT, Let's Improve the Future Together program integrates social emotional learning, moral reflection, and service learning into every grade level. LIFT connects local and global citizenship with daily habits of empathy, perseverance, and ethical reasoning. Pioneer Academy has transformed character education from an aspiration into a defining identity. Congratulations, Pioneer Academy.
Dr. Maya Angelou Elementary School. Dr. Maya Angelou Elementary School offers opportunities to help students grow academically and socially through caring, respect, and responsibility. Character education focuses on lessons that teach safety, responsibility, empathy, respect, encouragement, and community. Students are encouraged to make good choices, model positive behavior, and celebrate when others demonstrate strong character. Dr. Maya Angelou Elementary is shaping leaders of character who are prepared for middle school and beyond. Congratulations, Dr. Maya Angelou Elementary School.
Raymond E. Voorhees Elementary School. Voorhees Elementary School has a simple but powerful belief. Academic excellence matters, but true success lies in developing good people, students who are kind, respectful, and resilient. Voorhees has built a culture where character is not just taught, but lived, creating a community grounded in empathy, responsibility, and pride. Service learning connects academics to action, helping students to see the impact of kindness and responsibility beyond the classroom. Voorhees' character journey continues to evolve, guided by reflection, innovation, and collaboration. Congratulations, Raymond E. Voorhees Elementary School.
Virgil I. Grissom Elementary School. Virgil Grissom Elementary School has been state and national school of character for many years. Grissom's journey has been one of steadfast growth and evolution. Many programs have shifted from being teacher-led to student-driven, empowering learners to take ownership of their growth and leadership. This shift has fostered authentic character development and has contributed to Grissom's continued academic and social success. Students consistently demonstrate determination as they strive daily to fulfill the shared mission to create lifelong learners by embracing different learning styles, creating a safe environment, developing strong character, and creating community awareness. Congratulations, Virgil I. Grissom Elementary School.
Woodmont Elementary School. Woodmont's character journey, greatest strengths, and driving forces have been a positive hidden curriculum. The commitment to character education is the foundation of Woodmont's academic success. Woodmont is most proud of the day-to-day rewards received. Substitute teachers who frequently say Woodmont is their favorite elementary school to sub in. The number of visitors who say Woodmont is so nice. You can feel it when you walk through the door. And the local realtors who say families requested buying in the Woodmont zone. Woodmont will always care more about the feelings in the halls than the banners on the walls. Congratulations, Woodmont Schools.
Woodrow Wilson Middle School. Woodrow Wilson Middle School's 5 values truly belong to the students. Choose kindness, always shine bright, lead with integrity, never give up, and reach for the stars. These values emerged from student voices and represented the qualities they want to see in themselves and their school. Woodrow Wilson committed to building a community where every student feels seen, valued, supported, and empowered. The shift in culture to restorative, intrinsic motivation supports educating the whole child at Woodrow Wilson. The students know they have the courage to do what is right, compassion to support others, and the confidence to reach their dreams. Congratulations, Woodrow Wilson Middle School.
Congratulations to all of the schools of character in New Jersey for 2026. Bill, would you like to introduce Nicole?
Thank you, Lori. I'd like to introduce Nicole Deal, who is the new executive director for the Schools of Character program for character.org. And this is her first year in this job, and certainly it's been a successful year across the country, but particularly here in New Jersey. And I'd like to have her share a few remarks and then introduce we actually have 13 national schools of character, and I'd like to have her introduce those schools to you as well. So Nicole, welcome to the podium.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here on my first time celebrating with all of you. Thank you to NJSECD and especially Bill, Lori, and Mary, who I have worked with for many years before being in this role as state coordinator for Missouri for years before this as well. So thanks for having me join you today. It's really a joy to be here and celebrate all of these schools and educators and school communities, and especially the students who are doing the meaningful work of creating places where character is not just something you talk about, but that it's something that you live intentionally every day. Character development is one of the most important responsibilities that schools embrace because it shapes the communities in which we live and learn, and it helps develop the kind of people who our students will eventually become as citizens. Academic achievement matters deeply, of course, but schools also help young people learn to lead with integrity, show compassion, persevere through challenges, and contribute to something larger than themselves. And we've heard lots of those kinds of stories today. Schools of character are places where core values become part of the fabric of the school life, and they're reflected in the relationships between students and staff, in the ways challenges and mistakes are handled, and in the systems and practices that help every member of the community feel seen, valued, and connected to each other. These schools intentionally create cultures where students can grow not only academically, but flourish as human beings. National certification represents the highest level of distinction recognized by character.org, and New Jersey has long been a leader in this area with a large number of applicants and recipients every year. National certification reflects years of thoughtful implementation, shared leadership, reflection, and a commitment to continuous growth. Schools do not arrive here by chance. This recognition represents the work of educators, students, families, and communities who have chosen to build something meaningful together. So this morning, I have the privilege of introducing the schools from New Jersey whose work serves as a model for others and whose commitment to character is making a lasting impact on the lives of young people. So please join me today in recognizing New Jersey's National Schools of Character. We have Allen B. Shepard Jr. Elementary School in Old Bridge, Burlington County Institute of Technology, West Hampton Campus, Camden County Technical Schools, Gloucester Campus in Sicklerville, Carl Sandburg Middle School in Old Bridge, Central Elementary School in East Hanover, Donald Stewart Center for Early Childhood Education, School number 51 in Elizabeth, Helen A. Fort Middle School from Pemberton, Hillside Elementary School in Livingston, Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughn, Mary Jackson, JVJ, STEM Academy number 92, Kindergarten Success Academy in Roselle, JVJ is in Elizabeth. I wanted to say that too, because I know we have a couple from Elizabeth. Kindergarten Success Academy in Roselle, Leroy Gordon Cooper Elementary School in Old Bridge, Virgil I. Grissom Elementary School, also in Old Bridge, and last but not least, Woodmont Elementary School in Pine Brook. Congratulations to all of this year's National Schools of Character, and we at character.org are just so excited to continue partnering with New Jersey and all of the fantastic work that you are doing to make this a part of so many schools in your area. Bill?
Before you start, Bill, I'd like to thank Nicole for joining us and recognizing the National Schools of Character. It's been our pleasure to recognize all of our schools, our wonderful 2026 schools, New Jersey state schools and districts of character. Congratulations on your commitment to the 11 principles of character and your outstanding efforts for character education. On behalf of NJASECD and the New Jersey Schools of Character coordinators, Mary and myself, I'd like to thank you for joining us today to applaud the work of these outstanding schools. No matter where you are in your character education journey, we are thrilled to recognize your dedication and exceptional efforts. Maintaining a high level of character education is challenging. We suggest you document everything you do over the next 5 years. So when you're ready to recertify, you have all of your information at hand. Reach out to other schools in your school district, neighboring towns, and invite them to share events and your success at your school. Bill, would you like to take on some
I'd like to add,
congratulatory remarks?
yes, I'd like to add my congratulations to all of our emerging schools, our honorable mention schools, our New Jersey State Schools of Character, and our 2026 National Schools of Character. You'll notice that all these categories kind of denote that this is, in fact, a journey. And one of the things that we do believe in this work is that it is actually a matter of continuous development. One of the things that we always tell our schools, and you will notice that a number of the schools that were honored today as national schools and state schools, this isn't their first rodeo. They've done this 2 and 3 times because they really have embraced the concept of the continuous improvement. So being a school of character or any of these recognitions is not an end point. It's really a jumping off point. And one of the reasons why we've been so successful in New Jersey is that, as you have seen from many of the people you've heard today, is that the point of outreach is something that a school of character can continue to do, and it's something, and we'll talk a little bit more about that perhaps later. But a lot of our schools have done that, and they continue to make their school a better place. Every one of these schools, for every one of these honors, has worked hard to gain that honor. And I'd like to thank the New Jersey school leaders and educators who have put in that work, and the parents, by the way, because they're part of this too. Because parents are really the first character educators that their kids come across to make this happen in a school. Because what we do know, we've worked with a lot of schools over a lot of years, and what we do know is it makes the school better for everybody, and it makes everybody better for each other. And that's really the important thing. And so thank you for making such a positive impact on your schools. Your honors are well deserved, and I hope that you take time to celebrate. Today's recognition ceremony actually also provides an opportunity for us to attend to the business of our organization. It's required by our bylaws for us to have a general business meeting annually, and it's always been part of the ceremony to do that. So we're just going to take a few minutes. Really, the main business of the organization today will be to elect a new slate of officers. And so I'd like to call the annual business meeting of our organization to order. It's now 11:25. This business meeting, as well as all the additional meetings of the Board of Trustees, provides the means that we use to conduct the business of the organization. The board elected annually is entrusted with representing the members of the organization in dealing with business matters, setting the direction of the organization, working with a committee structure, planning and implementing events such as the ones today, as well as looking at ways to grow the organization in advancing our mission. In an all-volunteer organization such as ours, the success of the organization depends almost solely on the talents of those volunteers. I'd like to again thank the current board, including the officers, the members at large, and the committee chairs and co-chairs for their dedication during the current year of 2025-2026. Before we hold the election of officers for 2026-27, I would like to recognize 3 retiring board members for their service to the organization. Pat Carr has served on the board since her school became a school of character down in Oxford. Her work and her character with her character superheroes helped their school and many others advance this work. Thanks, Pat, for all the work that you've done. By the way, there will be each of these people will receive a certificate. You can't really see that all that well, but we'll send these out to everyone because we do certainly honor their service to our organization. So Pat is the first. Pete Clark is another. And Pete Clark has served on the board for many years, and he's mainly served as our liaison between our organization and Ryder, where we hold our in-person conferences. And his work has been exemplary with us. He's been a real asset in helping those events run smoothly. I'd like to wish Pete the best of luck as he leaves the board, and especially to spend more time with his grandchildren, which is, being a grandparent myself, I know how important that can be. Finally, Mona Noyes has been a steadfast member of the board since NJASCD was founded. I mentioned that before. Her work in Cherry Hill, as Phil mentioned, has been significant over the years, and she has since retired from Cherry Hill, but her impact is still being felt in those schools. I'd like to thank Mona for being a steadfast member, a good friend, as Phil said, a confidant, which she is. Mona's the kind of person when you meet her once, it's like you've known her your entire life. That's just who she is. And so I'd like to thank Mona for her friendship and for her work for our organization. As I said, we will be sending certificates to all of these folks for their service to our organization. So I'd like to thank all of them again for their role in the growth of NJASCCD. All of them are going to be hard to replace. We know that. But fortunately, we do have some willing and qualified candidates. And so I'm going to turn it over to Phil, our past president, who will, as by our tradition, he will conduct the election of officers for the 2026-2027 school year. Back over to you, Phil.
Thank you, Bill. And this is my final official act as part of the alliance. And Bill couldn't do this before because he was up for election. So you can't have the person up for election run the meeting. That wouldn't look good, would it? Well, in the future, he may be in this same spot that I'm in now, I hope. So with that, I want to call business meeting to order again. And we have, as a part of this ceremony, acknowledge that everyone present is a member of the organization, and therefore the membership is the group that must agree with the slate of officers and any other nominations that you would like to vote for. So with that, I would like to show you, and as you see on the slide, the slate of nominations for the officers of the board of the New Jersey Alliance for Social, Emotional, and Character Development for the next year, as recommended by the current officers. Are there any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I offer the slate to you, the members present, and ask the secretary, Deb Minari, to cast a single vote, electing the slate by acclamation, by so saying and raising the hands to signify this vote. Everybody present, we see your hands. Thank you very much. And my welcome, and none of you the new officers are strangers, of course, and it's with great pleasure that I welcome you to the new shoes you're going to be filling. And as Lori well knows, as the president, they're pretty big shoes she's got to fill. But luckily, Bill has agreed to stay on in his role, taking over what has been my role in the past as the immediate past president, and I know that he will be good support for you as you take it over. Lori has been about as staunch a supporter of this work as anybody I've ever known, and she has a feisty quality to her too that I think you're going to discover. Those of you on the board who don't know her very well, and I know that you'll see this as well, Nicole, as you continue to deal with her as the key representative of our organization. So with that, I bid you farewell and turn the remaining part of the program over to my friend and colleague, Bill Trusheim and Lori.
Well, first of all, I would like to welcome, really, this is not a welcome because everybody who is on the new board is well known to our organization, has volunteered with us, and and is really active with us, and that's certainly important because what we've always needed and had, is an executive council, a board, and committee chairs who are committed to doing this work, and that has always been the case, and it is again wonderful that we have such people with such experience, background, and I will use the term eminence. And I don't use that lightly because you have all earned your stripes in this work to continue to move this organization forward. Phil gave you a tremendous amount of history of the organization. There's a lot that follows, Phil's main time that I guess I will now have to fill in, which I'm happy to do. It's not been a smooth path all the way, and because of the dedication of all these people whose names you've seen on the screen and the people whose names you've heard mentioned today in the course of our celebration, that's why we're still here. But we're not just still here, we're flourishing. And this, in some ways, because it is transitional, in some ways it's an opportunity to re-energize the organization. So I wish all of you the very best. I again congratulate all of the schools that have been honored today. The work you're doing is terrific. Don't stop. It is continuous. It's a continuous development. If you want to volunteer in our organization, there's always a place for it. Get involved. Become a scorer. Become a site evaluator. Help another school. There are lots of ways to keep the work going. I guarantee you that when you do that, your school will become a better place for everybody in it. And that's one of the reasons, Arthur Schwartz always talked about New Jersey's secret sauce. That was one of his favorite quotes when he talked about us. That's our secret sauce. Our secret sauce is the fact that everybody involved in New Jersey, schools, districts, whatever, they do the outreach that we ask for. They help others. They make their place better by making another school better. So if this is your first time around, do that. Find another school in your district or somebody close or somebody far away, because we do so much virtually now that it's really important that you keep the work going for yourselves and for others. And that's our secret sauce. So again, congratulations to everyone. And I'd like to thank you all for being here today for our closing ceremony.
At this time, I'd like to say a few words about Bill. Today we have another wonderful, dedicated, outstanding past president at NJASECD. Bill Trusheim is stepping down, which none of us can really believe, but we understand. While Bill will always be welcome, and indeed, we are all hoping he remains involved to give guidance, moving on is hard. Bill has given many years of service to the work of character education, and his expertise is always appreciated. Our schools have evolved over the years. Into what? Well, that's the question. With Bill's leadership, our schools have been guided by the 11 principles, supported service learning, searched for promising practices, discovered social emotional learning, purposely invited parents and community into their programs, and focused on important core values. His outstanding work will continue to shine through NJASECD. We appreciate all of Bill's efforts and knowledge. When Bill started teaching, he was teaching music. Society was in the midst of great change. Cell phones were the size of a shoebox. CDs were the new thing. The internet was called the information highway. Microsoft was a fledgling company. Mount St. Helens had erupted. Diana and Charles got married. President Reagan was shot. The Return of the Jedi was released. Alex Jeffries invented the genetic fingerprint, and the Titanic was found. Johnny couldn't read, and the nation's schools were failing. But we've come so far since then. Sadly, we lost both Diana and Ron. Charles married Carmela. Cell phones are now an extension of our lives. Star Wars is a cult. The Titanic launched Leonardo. Genetic fingerprinting tells us all about our woes. SGOs make Johnny read. New Jersey schools once again rank at the top, while teachers struggle with behavior. And through it all, Bill worked hard to bring positive climate and culture, empathy and warmth, friendly learning environments for teachers, students, and parents, and has gladly shared his knowledge, his creativity, and his time with all of us and everyone who is connected with education. Bill, you are truly an outstanding individual. It has been a joy to know you and call you my friend. Thank you for everything, Bill, and I look forward to working with you very closely as we move forward. We also have a certificate for you, but as usual, we're on virtual, so it's going to get mailed out. I also would like to talk a little bit about our summer workshop that's coming up. It's going to be at Rider University on August 19th. You can register for the event through the code below. Use your QR code. You can take a picture of this with your camera if you're interested. You can also get on the NJPSA site. It's in their events, so you can go through there. It's also, the link is on the flyer as well, so we will be sending out, if it hasn't already gone, this flyer will be going out to all of our emerging schools, all of our honorable mention schools, all of our schools of character, all of our national schools of character, and all of our schools who have been involved in the program for the past few years. So everyone should be able to get that flyer, and please join us on the 19th. And we will be hearing from Tony Catani, who is a state and nationally recognized school principal, and he will be our keynote speaker. So please, if you're interested, please join us on the 19th in August at Rider University. What did I do? I think I hit something I wasn't supposed to hit, but there you go. I do want to thank you for attending. And Bill, would you like to say anything else before we sign out?
Well, I guess I would like to just say, when I became principal 20, 30 years ago, whenever it was, a long time ago, the day after I was appointed by the board, I wrote a note to the faculty and to let them know that I viewed being principal of that school as being a sacred trust. When Phil asked me, actually, you asked me 15 years ago. I didn't say yes right away. It took me a year to not be a superintendent of schools anymore because I didn't think it was fair for me to become a president of an organization when I couldn't guarantee that I would be at every meeting. So when Phil asked me, I actually felt the very same way about NJASECD. I felt that it was taking on a sacred trust, and that it was my responsibility to husband the organization, through, we sometimes use, Phil showed you a picture of a sailing ship. Actually, I have that in my house right now because he did give it to me when he moved to Colorado. So a lot of this, we can view this as a voyage. And as you look at the voyage, the seas sometimes are nice. I think of Felix Mendelssohn, A Calm and Prosperous Voyage, a piece that he wrote. But it's not always a calm and prosperous voyage. Sometimes it gets stormy, and we've been through our storms. We've mentioned a few of them: COVID, COVID was certainly a challenge, but that wasn't our biggest challenge. Our biggest challenge was the one that I mentioned when EIRC closed down. And it was thanks to the board members, and a couple of them you haven't seen for a while because they've left. I'm thinking particularly of Ted Frankowitz, who was our treasurer at the time, and and the others who are here with us. Mona was there, of course, Eileen, and being able to come up with a plan with the help of PSA to be able to continue to exist. We were very fortunate because we weathered that storm. We weathered the storm of COVID. Uh, that's why we're virtual today, because we found out that we actually, at this time of year, we were able to get more people coming to this and being able to share the recording of this than we would having them try to get out of school at the end of May, which is a challenge for school districts these days. And so by us being able to kind of be able to adjust and be flexible and to ride with the punches that we sometimes face, we've been able to continue to exist. Not only continue to exist, but grow. I remember back when I first took over, I guess it was 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. We were really happy to have 4 schools of character. We don't have 4 anymore. We have a whole lot more. And it's because of the work of the people that you see on the screen. And I've been very fortunate to, I guess I'm viewed as their leader, but I'm really their colleague. And so thank you all. I'm not going anywhere. I will be past president. I do still have a strong opinion about the importance of this work. So I'm going to ask Lori for her forbearance when I voiced that strong opinion. And I hope that I was that way with Phil when he had a strong opinion, because that's really the role that I think that I'm beginning to fulfill. So thank you all. It's been memorable. It will continue to be so. And I wish every one of you the very best. And we'll see you next time. Thank you all.
Good night, everyone. Have a great day. Happy Memorial Day to all.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, thank you to all the speakers today. It was great. Your words were very inspirational. Appreciate your being here. Carlos, congratulations, man. Okay, take care.